changes to the agenda? And none. All right. Declarations of potential conflicts of interest. Anybody? Hearing none. Commission interview.
We have two members of the public that are interested in being appointed to the open positions 4 and 5. We prepared some interview questions. Our commissioner Tab would like the opportunity to ask you those interview questions. So, Ms. Peterson, if you'd like to come first, that would be great, and we'll go through those. These were published in the package, so they had an opportunity to see these before. If they read their package, first test.
We narrowed it down a little.
All right. You state your name for the record.
Rob Peterson, 1246 Winsong.
Thank you. What do you see as the most pressing issues or potential decisions from the basic report?
There's about 3 right now. I'd see the first issue is getting out Banner Flex 6. We've had a vacant building since the exit of the renewal workshop, and we've actually had some good offers, or at least one solid offer along the way, but that boat has sailed already. So I'd like to make sure that we get a tenant sometime before the end of this year. Secondarily, probably the stern roller contract. We need to figure out who's going to be the operator. If we have legal liabilities that we have to watch out for, and what makes a better contract for the port and our community. And then additionally, I believe we lost some funding for the bridge, the $6 million funding. So hopefully that's a priority for next year. We'll go back to DC and we revisit the table and get the earthquake retrofitting funding that we need.
Excellent.
Thanks, Rob. Moving forward, what do you believe are some things the port could do better?
In the past, I think some of the ways the contracts have been procured haven't been quite transparent. So one of my key things is open government. Obviously, there are sensitive things in business that need to be discussed in the executive session, but I think it should be an open process where all businesses can see the opportunity and have a fair chance to, make their proposal.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if there's anything else. Okay. Hello, Mr. Peterson. Tell me why you want to be on the Port Commission and what makes you a good fit.
I lived in Cascade Locks for 5 years. This is by far probably the best place I've ever lived in. It's got a great community here. We live in one of the most beautiful places, I think, in the world. And I would like to continue to keep this town united and also preserve the beauty that's here as well. It's one of the nice things of living in a national scenic area is you can count on some extra protections to keep it like it is right now. And also part of the port's agenda is to encourage business in town. So we want to make sure it's a strong economy for the people that live here as well. So as far as what I've contributed so far, I've been actually involved with founding Courts Canoe Club. It's a nonprofit. We do outrigger canoeing on both Oregon and Washington side, and we focus on keeping our waters clean, teaching water safety, teaching about the culture of the outrigger. I've also been involved with highway cleanups here, the fish food bank at the City Hall, and a number of years on the trail, fixing up the trails on Washington Oregon side. So I'm passionate about volunteering, and I feel being in this role kind of give me a better angle at helping the city move in the right direction. So
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Tell me in your words what you think Port does as a special district.
as a special district, it's a role of limited government. However, the port's in a unique position where they are the largest waterfront holder. So there's lots of opportunities with the, the ports, the marina, the beach, Parks and Recreation, the business park. And properties near the Civic Crest Trail. So obviously maintaining what we do with our parks and rec. We have a beautiful marine park there. I want to maintain that. I'd like to see some more safety along there. We've recently had a drowning out there, so I think we need to focus a little bit more on water safety this year. As far as the business park, there's a lot of potential there. But I think we really need to think carefully about what we're going to put in there. And if those businesses will create long-term jobs that are going to create livable wages for the next, incoming subdivisions for housing and such, so.
Can you please share a bit of your personal vision for the community of Cascade Locks?
Yeah, I feel Cascade Locks, if you don't look on Facebook, Cascade Locks is a nice small town. It's got a charm to it. People are helpful. You ask a question, they'll put you in the right direction. They'll give you advice what to check out. We have all these amazing things we can do around here. I want to maintain that, and I want it to be welcoming. Some people leave town because there's lack of services or lack of options. So you might have seen in the past year or so, you drive down Monopod, there's probably about 8 or 9 vacancies along there. And I want to see if the port can actually help people, start developing the downtown and make it functional again. So it's one of my priorities outside of the port district is to see how we can get the city and the port work together to make it a nice and functional downtown.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
This is the final question, so there you go. As commissioner for the port, there are difficult questions and stances that one must take and stand behind. Can you give an example of handling a difficult situation and standing behind that decision?
Yeah, I had one last couple months ago. It was actually through our nonprofit. We hosted a race out here on the water, and we had a couple of volunteer boats out there. Unfortunately, one of the boats collided with another volunteer boat. And there was a little bit of conflict between that, but I took it upon myself, representing the Gorge Community Club, and being a good neighbor, to reach out to the person who had the damage boat and see what we can offer and fix his boat. And I spent a couple of weekends going out there, getting the parts needed and fix his boat. And we made everything come together, and to agreeable terms, and everybody walked away and they were satisfied. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Address and, all you've been in the community.
Pamela Tweet, 1252 Winslow. I've been here for pushing 2 years. I guess it's a year and 3/4 now.
Awesome.
And I moved a couple of times before that. I think looking for my forever home. I lived in Texas. I grew up there, and a couple places just didn't feel, it didn't get me as my forever home. And as soon as I moved here, and I moved here initially for the beauty and outdoor recreation, but I just fell in love with the community, and I made some really good friends. And I too volunteer a lot and fill in and do whatever I can for the community. And yeah, I just love this town.
Okay. What do you see as most pressing issues or potential decisions currently facing the port?
Well, from what I've read in minutes and seen, I can only guess that the executive session was about Stern Miller. So I know a decision has to be made on operations and contracting of the Stern Miller. And also I'm aware of Flex 6 vacancy. We need to, I need to learn a little bit more what we can do in this situation. So I look forward to that. And yes, I did see that the bridge funding was cut. So that is on the list. And for future, I'd like to see like a roll-up of all the projects and status of projects. Seems like a couple of them in the last minutes and meetings that I heard were not forgotten about, but just, 3 years ago, we started this and we're finally getting to it or something like that, so I'd like to know a big picture of everything that's going on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pam. Moving forward, what do you believe are some of the things the port could do better?
Previous leadership, I think the first and foremost for me, what I'd like to see us do is work with the city and align with each other. And and work with the city. Another thing is engage with the community on decisions, big decisions. That reflect how our community is, and I need to learn land use and, there are some things I need to learn, but I know that's one thing that I'd like to do is get community involved. And then, of course, I'd like to be transparent as practicable. I understand we have legal fines, but that's a big one. And also, I would like to work as a team instead of against each other or have one side or the other. We all may think differently and have different options, but what I hope is that we can come together and make the right decision for the community and not just benefit ourselves or maybe others that are pushing us. Thank you.
Tell me why you want to be on the Port Commission and what makes you a good fit.
I want to be on the Port Commission because I love this town. As I told you, I moved here for one reason and fell in love with it for another, and I'm here to stay. I also think it's an exciting time. We've got the new city council and the new mayor, and the new port, and it's just an opportunity to work with a great team. And that's one thing I like to do. I also want to serve the community and do what I can. Yeah. What makes me good at it? I think one of the skills, or not even skills, but talents that I've recognized for myself is see the big picture. So I like to, of course, deep dive into the necessities, but it's one thing to have one project rolling and not know how it fits everything else. So that's one thing that I think I'm good at. I'm also very good at diplomacy and truth. And very good at discovering the right questions, not the answer, so to speak, but what are we looking to find, the real reason. I'm great with ethics. I'm also a very fast learner, especially when it comes to law in different industries, which I have been and have been involved with legal industries. And I'm also very good at following through.
Tell me in your words, what you think the port does at the special district.
I knew going into it, and then I did a little research after this question to see if I was missing something. And there's a lot more to than just the park and land development. I mean, it is economic development and growth, definitely. But it also touches commercial industrial infrastructures, recreation, transportation, tourism. Transportation is big. We have the train, we have waterway, we have the port, the dock, bridge, roads. I mean, it seems like the port's pretty ingrained in this city. It is part of city and city council. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Pam. Can you please share a bit of your personal vision for the community of Cascade Locks?
I don't know that it's my personal vision that matters so much. I think it's a matter of community. I know what is important to me, like environmental factors and stuff, and I hope that the community feels the same. In fact, I work for an environmental company, so I'm very, very interested in keeping us clean. I would also like to identify what type of industries the public is interested in. So we can do so much here with what we have. So we have natural assets, and what do we want this community to be? Do we want it full of data centers and smokestacks? It's kind of a pretty place. We want to make money. We want to have jobs. As Rob said, you know, bringing in other businesses to make it sustainable. I think that, yeah, I think the community should really decide what the future looks like.
And finally, as a commissioner for the port, there are difficult questions and stances that one must take and stand behind.
Yeah,
Can you give us an example of handling a difficult situation and standing behind that decision?
yeah, I think people with high morals do that every day. If somebody comes in and starts yelling racist terms to a friend, you're gonna stand up and say something. But I think in a business setting, I can give, and let me start with any decision I make and I learn later that I made a mistake, or there's more data that came available after the fact, I think it's important to be able to say that you made a mistake. So if you're gonna stand up for something that you believe in completely and it is right, then yes, I believe in standing up for the right thing. But the personal business thing that I think sticks out in my brain, because I was a lead executive assistant, but I was an executive assistant to a lot of senior vice presidents, executive vice presidents, and I did their expenses. And I found different levels of leadership. It sounds petty, but it was a big deal, using car service. So we wanted to standardize who could use cars, and not a taxi, you know, at the time Uber wasn't big, but I brought it up and I stood by it, and I had to look at all of the senior vice presidents in the face and tell them that they were not copied. And later on, it did end up getting changed a little bit, but then leadership completely changed, and I stood up for it, and to the very end I did. They changed CEOs, and the CEO ended up using Uber, so everybody else ended up using, you know, Lyft and Uber, so something I stood up for.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Pam. People need it.
So at this point, we can move on to number 3. We also have the opportunity to continue to advertise for the position and see if anybody else applies. Sort of Christmas discretion, what they'd like to do now.
Well, either of you like to entertain the motion?
I think I would be good with a motion. At this point, we need some commissioners on board to make some tough decisions, so. I would like to make a motion to appoint Rob Peterson and Pam Tweet to the commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been motion second to appoint Pam and Rob to positions 4 and 5 respectively. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry to get you on tonight and in the driver's seat quickly. We will have you take the oath of office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wants to claim position.
Well, Rob, first.
Okay, yeah.
I state your name,
Rob Peterson,
having been appointed to the office of Commissioner of the Port of Cascade Locks, Hood River County, State of Oregon,
I've been appointed to the office of Commissioner of Port of Cascade Locks, Hood River County, State of Oregon,
and having accepted said appointment and being ready to enter upon the duties of this office,
and having accepted said appointment and being ready to enter upon the duties of this office,
being first duly sworn to hereby swear and affirm that I will perform the duties of the office as a Port Commissioner to the best of my ability.
being first duly sworn to hereby swear and affirm that I will perform the duties of the office as Port Commissioner to the best of my ability,
That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the bylaws of the Port of Cascade Locks.
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, and the bylaws of the Port of Cascade Locks.
Do you swear or affirm?
I do, that's right.
Sound.
You didn't make it memorize it?
I didn't have to recite it, but also.
You don't get a copy.
They should have crashed course last time. So with your right hand raised, I state your name, having been appointed to the office of Commissioner of the Port of Cascade Locks, Hood River County, State of Oregon,
I, Pam Tweed, been appointed to the office of Commissioner of the Port of Cascade Locks, Hood River County, State of Oregon,
and having accepted said appointment and being ready to enter upon the duties of this office,
and having accepted said appointment and being ready to enter upon the duties of this office,
being first duly sworn to hereby swear and affirm that I will perform the duties of the office of a Port Commissioner to the best of my ability.
being first duly sworn to hereby swear and affirm that I will perform the duties of the office as a Port Commissioner to the best of my ability,
That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the bylaws of the Port of Cascade Locks.
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the bylaws of the Port of Cascade Locks.
Do you so swear or affirm?
I affirm.
All right, public comment.
We do have some folks in the audience online. Don't know if anybody is.
On the speaker, if anybody has public comment, raise your hand online.
Typically.
Yeah.
Oh, we put that up beforehand.
Yeah.
There is none. Okay. Seeing none. We will move forward. Presentation. Legislative update, Mark Johnson.
Commissioner, see ya.
Evening.
Quite a few things to touch on here, variety of topics tonight, so hopefully this will keep you entertained, but, I'll start off with some recreation related offerings, and you touched on the parking lot already, but yeah, if you haven't had a chance to venture up there, it really is You know, it's hard to know, hard to imagine what it's gonna look like until something like that gets complete, but thinking back to what that was just a few months
I
ago.
got up there a few weeks ago, and it was just a big ditch.
Well, it was a big ditch, but now you've got asphalt, you've got striping, you've got parking spots, and you do have a place where the restroom will be later. It's all sized for the model that we would like to order, but it's gonna be precast concrete. Yeah, just for background and everybody, it'll be precast concrete, completely self-contained, that will be delivered to the site, lowered there, connections are made. Shower on each side, toilet on each side, sink on each side, all set up and is hopefully as low maintenance and bulletproof as we can make it, so.
Just a quick question. So I guess you just mentioned maintenance. Obviously, the port is responsible for that, correct? Okay,
Correct.
Okay.
Port's also responsible for the landscaping out there too.
okay,
So when the contractor, I think there's still, looks like there's some light posts that need to be connected and hooked up and so forth, like. Just in my layman's eye, it looks like that might be about the last contractor related task out there. So it's great. So tremendous, and of course, the funding, and we've had some really neat, support along the way. Dry Oregon really got us started with a really small grant back when we were thinking about just putting in a simple gravel parking lot. And then as we had additional resources come online, the vision increased, which also increased the degree of difficulty, the time frame, the permitting process, the costing, all of that. But at the end of the day, I think we've got something that the whole community can be proud of. But honestly, as I tell people, I think it's the best new recreation infrastructure coming online in Forge. This is going to be a real mecca. And one of the reasons why is because of the Cascade Locks Trail system that I've talked about that's been permitted. The port partnered with the Northwest Trail Alliance, the mountain bike nonprofit Forest Service, and us for an Oregon Park and Rec Trail Development Grant for phase 1 of this new trail system that's going to go from that parking lot clear over to Herman Creek Road over on the other side of town. The port's obligation was to provide a parking lot or some kind of parking facility there. I think we've set the bar pretty high for the Forest Service because they have to put one on the other end. You've seen what they've done over at Wyatt, though. That's similar to what I think they're going to end up with over there. But anyway, related to that process, the first phase of that grant, we were successful in getting that with our partners. And I met last week with Chris Bernhardt, who's the contractor who's doing the trail design. He flagged this thing years and years and years ago. But he had to go back out and reflag the 3 miles of the Pro Belt section that we're going to be paying for this phase of this part of this grant. So he's got the documents done. It's a 43-page bid document that has everything you want to know about how to build a mountain bike trail, all the specs and so forth. He's given that to us. We're going to combine that with our procurement language, and we hope to get those bids out, the bids posted sometime in the next couple of weeks. That's going to be exciting, and we really hope we can get a contractor started in their fall. We do have some there. Via the Forest Service, there are some limitations on when you can work. You can't be doing work in that area. I think it's between, say, March and early July because of some concern about spotted owl habitat. But other than that, it's fair game. If it's not raining or snowing and you got a fire running out of the woods, you can work, but that's kind of the time frame. So that's gonna, again, these 2 items are connected. It's the parking lot, working on the recreation infrastructure, and these are going to be incredibly attractive for people, who are normally go to Coast Canyon and Hood River to ride. You come from Portland, it's a whole lot closer to stopping Cascade Locks, and if you've seen that forest or at least that one section, it's like you're riding through a cathedral. I mean, it's really spectacular. In the summer, it's going to be a tremendously cool place to ride. It's a north facing slope, so anyway, it'll be exciting. So that's happening as well. And still on the recreation front, but also now working, connecting with the bridge topic. PCT days are August 18th and 19th. We're really looking forward to that. That's going to be a tremendous day for the community, or tremendous weekend for the community. But I'm working closely with PCTA, Pacific Crest Trail Association, as we've done before. They will have a booth there, the port will have a booth there, and we're going to use our booths as petition signing stations to get petitions to deliver to both Oregon Senate President Rob Wagner and House Speaker Dan Rayfield. These are the guys that run the legislature, right? And this is going to be all about our seismic project, and we will then hand deliver these to them during September legislative days down in Salem. Because it's all about, a couple of you referenced the legislative funding and so forth. So as we learned last session, it really is all about the policymakers at the top, the decision-making guys. It's not about the committee chairs. So those are the guys that make the decision. So I'm also asking Representative Helfrich and Senator Bond to invite their specific chamber leaders as well, because I think it'd just be great to get these guys out here to see Cascade Locks, to see PCT days, and then to have a chance to hear directly from constituents about the importance of this bridge funding that we've been talking about. So, and on that note, Senator Bonham actually had Rob Wagner, the Senate President, out here in Cascade Locks for lunch last week, and they talked about our bridge, and Senator Wagner indicated that, yeah, they'll take care of you guys in the February session. So that's the latest we have from the legislature. So along with that now, though, there is, I mentioned this before, the Washington legislative is having a legislative bridge tour the last week in September, and they're going to be in Hood River and Cascade Locks and the Gorge on September 27th. We will be giving a full presentation to the committee chairs and to as many members of the Transportation Committee that can come at lunch in Hood River on the 27th. Talk to David McCurry, our bridge engineer, and so forth. He'll be there to talk about all the specifics of the need for the seismic project. We'll just give a background about the importance of the bridge to the port, to the community, and so forth. So that will happen at Hood River over lunch. Then I've got them actually agreeing to come back to Cascade Locks and make a short stop. What I'd like to do is see if we can, we'll figure something out. But if we can get that basement area at Ridgeside, sometimes they use that. We could maybe get that for a special event. But anyway, give them some lemonade, coffee, cookies or something. But look right at the bridge while they're there. We can just kind of make one more touch before they head on their way back to Vancouver. But I think that'll be a really positive day because, as we've heard before, Washington, is supportive of this concept. They've been extremely supportive of the bridge at Hood River, replacement project, if you're familiar with that. What they're waiting for is Oregon to step up, and it's understandable for a bridge that's owned by an Oregon port for them to say, okay, your home state should have some skin in the game first. What we're trying to do is get as much cross-pollination as we can over the course of the summer between Oregon legislators, Washington legislators, because each state will have their short session starting either in January or in February. So that's the next opportunity. And I feel really good about where we're at, but we're doing everything we can to try to reinforce that. On the bridge topic, we've got so many new faces here. We might want to consider just having a standalone Bridge of the Gods informational meeting at some point in the not too distant future, so folks can really understand where we're at, understand what Title 23 is all about. Not a pop question, but anyway, there's this things about the bridge that, it's a wonderful structure, but there's some things that are necessary to know. And we could have David McCurry, I think, give people a full on update, the maintenance plan,
I think the plan will be to bring in all of our contractors, so I think we'll be with Darren, I think we'll be with David McCurry,
Exactly.
the strategic business folks that we're working with, but yeah, we'll definitely get it.
Right, where we are now and where the finish line hopefully will be someday when that bridge has been, structurally, brought up to modern day standards and there's a bike pedestrian crossing attached to it. That would be the finish line. That's the goal. And we've got a pathway to get there, but it has to start with the foundation. Different topic. Ixtapa Restaurant has applied for a liquor license for their restaurant down at the visitor center of the city. We've also been informed by the city that they would like the port to obtain a conditional use permit for that restaurant. So we've got a packet now that we just wanted to flag this for you. We're going to go ahead and talk to the city about could there potentially be a way to kind of expedite the process, because obviously there's been a restaurant there in the past on a new use.
that something the court usually does is support conditional use permits, or isn't it the entity, the business itself that? normally goes for it?
So the
What
funny
are the
thing is,
VC, you
the
know,
funny thing is about conditional use permits, conditional use permits are typically supposed to be about mitigating potential impacts. It's a park. So it's mitigating traffic, it's got a parking lot, it's got traffic, technically, public zoned. We should have to have a conditional use permit for every event we do in the park.
you know, look at PCP days.
We
You're gonna.
currently are not, honestly, what the city needs to do is go into their, plan. And basically, all they have to do is go in and change their public space zoning and
Mhm.
change the allowed uses within the public space. You can do it all the time.
Yeah, what we have as a restaurant is a conditional use, but it's not a permitted use, just outright, like you're saying.
Exactly, that's why you have to have a conditional use,
Yeah.
but typically, like I said, they're about mitigating impacts, which there shouldn't be any impacts, because it's a park that's already had a restaurant, that's already had traffic, there's not gonna be
And
any
other commercial
adverse
activities
impacts
happen.
to having a restaurant there,
Right,
so.
my biggest concern, you know, again, not to be critical of the city, but through the standard process, there are some chunks of time in there for like public notice, for public hearings and so forth, that can really start to stretch out the process. So
Yeah.
it would be wonderful if we could just approach the council directly with this, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I just want you to be aware of that. We're trying to get this through as quickly as we can. And then one other non-related item, the One Gorge group has another item. We'll have to get you guys up to speed on what that means, but anyway, One Gorge is asking for members to provide signatures of support for a letter to Secretary Pete Buttigieg. He's the Department of Transportation Secretary. It's about the White Salmon Hood River Bridge replacement project. They're looking for a multimodal project discretionary grant opportunity from the Department of Transportation. So with all this would do with the port would just add their, you know, it could be Brad, it could be just the port to sign on, but to sign on a letter of support that will go from One Gorge to the Department of Transportation. So I have a copy of this if you guys just wanted to read it. I think it's pretty boilerplate, but
Was this, city's tour last week in Michigan?
no, it's just that they've been working on a number of grant opportunities, and when they got what they needed from Oregon legislature and Washington legislature, you know, that last session, they got, you know, some local state funding. The next steps to go to the feds. So this is just a larger grant for where they're.
We have a fairly light agenda tonight outside of the executive session, which we're gonna have Tommy being a little late to anyway. It's probably worth bringing them up to speed on what One Gorge is.
Sure.
So, good.
What Gorge had its nexus, probably back about, I don't know, 6 or 8 years ago. It's a loosely formed, well, informal organization, if you will, of ports, cities. There's private sector involvement, like for instance, Institute's been a member in the past, other big employers, but it's about trying to come together and mutually support issues of importance to the gorge, believing that we're stronger together rather than the sum total of our individual efforts. So
Have like over close to 100 members.
yeah, I don't know where it's kind of floundered a bit, and COVID, you know, was kind of a setback. Obviously, we used to meet regularly or quarterly in person. That hasn't happened now for probably 3 years, and we haven't gotten back to it. So
Previously, One Gorge assigned letters of support for what projects of ours.
for some grants and so forth, we had some travel grants we applied for. They're always available, but the point being, if you get the, you know, city Stevenson, if it's White Salmon, Vision, River County, Hope County, Community County, as well as some employers come together, catered to donors and so on. So anyway, it's just and we also then each year have an advocacy time in both Salem and Olympia, where we take the gorge to Salem, we take the gorge to Olympia, we call it Gorgeous Night in Olympia, Gorgeous Night in Salem. And we have booths, we have food, we have all kinds of refreshments and highlight our issues of importance. So when those things come across their legislative agenda, they go, I remember that, that's a big thing. So in years past, the last few years, it's been transportation, it's been about our bridges and so forth, and it's worked out well. It's, you know, we can never talk to folks, they know the bridge, who we are. So it's, anyway, but that's what this is all about, and this is a big deal for the, it's not the Port of Hood River anymore, it's now the Bi-State Bridge Authority, because they have taken over the new bridge project. The Port of Hood River will not own and operate that new bridge, it'll be operated by these folks. And that's one reason why they can go directly to the feds asking for this kind of money, where we can't do that right now because of issues that we can talk to you all about related to Title 23 and so on and so forth, so.
Will you find that you'll have less reliance on the state senators in terms of asking for funding in the future? Regarding the bi-state organization, will it bypass state senators' advocacies?
They are still very involved locally. I mean, they still, the bridge replacement project still is counting on additional funding from both Olympia and Salem as they move towards completion, but the bigger portion of that funding is going to come from the feds. Yeah, there's no question about that. It's just when, but they're talking about the project, I think they're close to $600 million. So it's a lot. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's all I have for you tonight. Nothing to expect. Anything pretty much.
Appreciate it, thank you.
And if they don't, do we get a nod on that letter? It's okay to add it.
It's pretty straightforward. We don't need a motion or anything.
Just general consensus that we're.
Yeah.
Add our name to that list.
Good, not at the right time. Thank you.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much. Consent agenda. Consent agenda may be approved in its entirety in a single motion. Items are considered routine. Any commissioner may take a motion to remove any items for the consent agenda for individual discussion if so desired. Consent agenda approval of minutes for commission meeting from July 6, 2023, and for special commission meeting July 11, 2023. Ratification bills in the amount of $51,531.59. Approval of payroll for 7/5/2023 in the amount of $42,542.45. Anybody like to entertain it?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
Well, that
I'll
means.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as written. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimously. We're on a good track here. All right, general manager report.
Everybody. We're seeing heavy use of the bridge and expect that to continue the rest of the summer season per usual. The closing of Highway 14 for the Tunnel 5 fire also led to higher use. But since it reopened, we've seen that taper off somewhat. We continue to be short staffed, but I've seen our total taker team really stepping up to cover those gaps. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that because it's not them, it's me at this point. And they've been doing a really amazing job. We have some new faces up there. Haven't had an opportunity yet to introduce yourself to Dawn. She's one of our newest employees. We also had some backups this season, the most recent being last Friday when wait times to cross the bridge approached 12 to 15 minutes. It didn't last for a long while, but when I do go up there and take a look at how traffic is progressing, I count how long it takes me to get from wherever it stops to get up there. It's about 12 minutes. The Hood River Bridge will be implementing a toll increase beginning September 1st. That means they will be higher than us, both for cash and breeze by. When we increased our tolls last summer, we saw a slight decline in passenger traffic, not a lot, a little bit. We did see a large decline in commercial vehicles, which didn't really bother us too much. It's still large commercial vehicles that really take the biggest toll on our bridge. It also represents 4% of the tolls that we take in. So losing that small percentage and also not having them beat up our bridge was sort of a nice byproduct of that. I expect to see both of those classes of vehicles to return to using our bridge after September. We will become the cheaper solution at that point in time. We will have businesses that came back to us now because again, we're the cheaper solution. We had a pretty substantial gap between us and Hood River there, especially in commercial traffic for a while, but they have caught up. We'll look at some analysis of that after September to bring to you guys and see exactly how much commercial traffic we have back on our bridge again, and let the commission evaluate exactly what a toll it takes on us. We got an opportunity to talk with David Curry, as he was saying. He will hammer home over and over again how much damage those large trucks do to our bridge. So we'll see exactly what comes back after September. Small update on stern wheeler, the ceiling tiles and flooring purchased with the Business Oregon grant money are almost installed. Commissioner Clue, Commissioner Nant had an opportunity to take a look at those this week. Nikki and Stephen have been overseeing the installation and working hard to move that project for its completion. We've also received confirmation for Business Oregon that all of our invoices for the reimbursement were accepted, and we'll likely be receiving our check for $500,000 by the end of the week. So that's fun. All right. Who doesn't like cashing a $500,000 check? Love it for you.
Yeah.
It's a large check.
Right.
Yes.
I wish they would have done that now. After contacting the Oregon State Surplus Property Agency and discussing the items we have available, they have recommended what they call a Saturday sale, which I've always known my whole life to be a garage sale. They've been helping us with pricing guides for the items. The items will be comprised mostly of the old contents of the new restaurant location. So we went through there with the museum, and all items that were historically significant have been moved into the museum. Items that wanted to be put out on the stern wheeler that were mostly geared towards the stern wheeler, also significant or historically referenced, important, have been put out there. And now we're left with items like tables, chairs, pots, pans, commercial restaurant equipment that we don't know that works, or that is so dingy that you're not sure you want somebody to cook on it. Shelving, etc. We are working again with the Oregon State Surplus Property Agency to determine the pricing on that. We're saying the type of items that we have, and send us back with the recommended pricing on that. And we're going to start advertising that tomorrow. We also will reach out to other government agencies locally. So basically the city and the fire department, and see if there's any of that stuff they want. There are some cool things in there that the fire guys might want for their kitchen and stuff like that. Espresso machine, there is an espresso machine in there. We have no idea how it works, if it works, what the directions are. But there's an espresso machine in there.
I used to be a barista, so I
All right.
teach them.
Maybe you should have a espresso machine in the port office. I come in more.
That's what,
It's pretty big. It's like one of the big ones.
it is large, full size.
There.
But most importantly, is there an air conditioner?
Yeah.
So why did you mention that?
You know, actually, we could probably put that espresso machine in the pavilion. Might be a nice addition to our little kitchen area in the pavilion.
We could potentially put it in the pavilion.
I don't think you'd be able to sell it for a whole lot anyway.
What's that? They've got their own plan for the boat. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. There are things that we potentially could do with it. I think it potentially going to someone locally. I don't plan on advertising this in Portland. I think it'd be a real bummer if a truck from Portland showed up and grabbed all this stuff in one spell swoop. So really gonna keep it local. And you know, if there's somebody here that's hoping to get coffee stand started, or they're starting to go out, or any of those things, it'd be cool if we could be a part of that. So
Apologies if I missed this, but when will the Saturday sale be?
Saturday.
Yes, good,
Yep.
but
This Saturday.
this Saturday,
Yeah,
like that fast.
That.
they need to clear it out so stop it can go in.
We cleared everything out. It's all now in the middle of there. We're gonna start pricing it tomorrow. Okay, it'll come very quickly. Pony parties that day. I think people will turn out, but there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. So, and just seeing this kind of come together on garage sales, I think we'll do all right. If at the end there's a small load to take away, then that's probably better than a big load. But yeah, this Saturday.
That will be down at the Stern Wheeler Cafe.
It's gonna be determined, got that correct. And we pulled in a few items that we've also had around the port that we need to get rid of, but still have some other stuff around there.
What about anything that doesn't sell?
Anything that doesn't sell, we'll donate to somewhere or dispose of it. So we'll go to like a Goodwill or whatever keeps our costs down. If I can get somebody to come, that would be great. I don't know that they're getting ready to drive out here for that, so. But it will be donated or thrown away, and we'll follow the procedures for that. Most everything in there has an asset tag on it, so we'll have to go through and remove it from our books and.
The thing that gets donated is get may turn into a robot.
Yeah, Ted may want to turn it into a robot.
Oh, that's
There's actually some pretty cool robot items there.
Do you have a time frame for Saturday?
I don't yet, they don't really have anybody to work it, so it's gonna be me and maybe if I can find a volunteer. I'm only gonna take cash and check, I'm not gonna set it up to do debit cards and that, we'll write, receipt, please receipt book. I would like to have somebody other than just me down there, we're gonna be collecting cash or stuff. I'll find somebody will volunteer. Somebody will come hang out. All right.
Rob will be your bouncer.
That's real good. Are you coming? I mean, the police part.
The voting part. Those are our major items that we have right now without sort of digging into, it's like Mark said, we have a lot of catch up to do. There's a lot of stuff to talk about around the bridge. There's a lot of stuff to talk around about that parking lot. The maintenance on that, that was an amazing question that you asked. But yes, we are going to have to maintain that park. We're gonna have to talk about things about potentially putting cameras up in that park. It's also interesting that somebody brought up, hey, we're doing air conditioning. Is there an air conditioner in Exapa? There is, it's woefully underpowered for that space. There's been discussions about using ARPA funds for that, which would probably be fairly decent use of those funds. So there's lots of different things that we can sort of dig into, but I think we have a full night sort of ahead. If we have any questions, if you specifically want to dig into, because the next portion that we go into is subcommittee reports. No one at this point sits on any subcommittees. It's something we will do in the future or not do, up to you guys, how you guys want to approach that. This is usually an opportunity for each one of you to go around and talk about your experiences in the court, or questions that you have, or committees that you sat on, or things that you heard, things like that. Not that I'm stealing your thunder, but before I give mine up, do you have any questions?
What's the current list of subcommittees that we have?
So we need to work on that. We passed a commission policy manual here recently that redid our subcommittee structure. And so we went through individually the subcommittees and gave them an actual charge. This is what this committee does. This is who can sit on this committee. Now it always has 2 commissioners on it and 3 members of the public. We've done that with EDSC. We have not met since we've done that because we've had no one who has applied to be a citizen on that. We have the Stern Wheeler subcommittee, which is fully charged at this time and has a committee of folks. It is Brad. It is, I guess we are missing a commissioner at this point, a secondary commissioner for that. Gary Monkoff sits on that. Albert, not Albert. Preston, thank you. Preston Wright. Who's the final one? Brendan Kramer. Currently sit on the Stern Wheeler subcommittee, so we would need to add another commissioner there. I don't know that it's anything that we need to do tonight. Potentially one that we could do, I know she's been asking, is Janice Crane would like to have a member for the museum. One of our commissioners always sits on the board. You don't have to, I can do it instead. I'm allowed to do that as well. I'm currently sitting on it. It was John Stippen previously. He actually holds another position on the board now. Ideally, it wouldn't be, not ideally, it shouldn't be Brad. Brad's wife sits on the board, so that would not be, would be unadvisable to have a married couple sitting on the same board. They meet, they usually meet during the day. That's the tough thing about them. Wednesdays. Can't remember, but it's in the morning, right? I can get some more information about that for you guys on what the exact time frame is.
But what days of the weeks are the Stern Wheeler or EDSC?
So Stern Wheeler and EDSC, we used to have, we had a running meeting that we did. We haven't at this point, and it's probably up for debate when we're going to do those. Whether we do it with whatever, because we've already moved these meetings to Tuesday, so it's sort of up to us now. Stern Wheeler subcommittees, we're meeting more as needed at this point.
So those are the 3 primary subcommittees.
Correct. We also have a bridge subcommittee. That one has not yet gone through that process. So that will need to go through that process in order to fit our structure of it's been passed. So that's one that needs to get an official charge, what it's responsible for.
More like an ad hoc committee when it, you know, when there's a need, then we have a meeting.
And it's a good committee. It's an important committee. It's a committee where we have actual folks that sit in across the water in Skamania County. Kevin Waters sits on that board. We used to have a county commissioner, Bob Hamlin, who sat on that board. He's expressed interest actually in staying on that board. He has a good voice over there, but so is Asa, who is another county commissioner. So it's one of the few places that we actually work directly with Skamania County. It will be an important one to keep up going in the future, but it has not yet received its official charge, and it doesn't really mean unless there's something sort of exciting going on the bridge. And the bridge is only 2 feet, very boring and very exciting, right? So they came together when we had that large repair a couple of years ago. We downgraded 40 tons, I think it was 40 tons. So they were instrumental in helping us work with ODOT and WASDOT and pulling that off quickly. And then they've met a little bit for support as we come through Mark's project with the seismic retrofitting. So they're a good committee, but they don't have a standing meeting time. They probably should. They should probably meet quarterly at least.
So
Yeah. I do have a couple of comments,
Yeah,
just
sure.
things. I don't necessarily, like you mentioned, we're not on subcommittees at this point, but it seems like if there's 4 of them, we should probably at least have some sort of representation from some of us on those 4. The first comment I had, going back to the parking lot, I saw it yesterday, it looks great. And one thing that Mr. Johnson failed to mention, the view is beautiful.
All right.
From the lot, you look over 84, but once you actually look beyond 84, it's lovely. A couple of other things during the very first meeting that we had. A couple of folks from the community mentioned harassment training for the 4th. I reached out to you and you guys were on it. Thank you for sending through the documentation we currently have for harassment training. I agree, it is very, very old. We should probably revisit that, and not only that, but make an electronic version of that, put that on the site. And then even revisit if there's anything else that we need to update to that. And then as far as the training is concerned, it sounds like that's done once a year, but it's been, I guess someone has been away, so that hasn't been
We do it
done.
once a year. Right now, the person who's in charge of all of our training is out and probably long term at this point in time. So we will have to start looking for somebody else to take up our safety training, which that falls in there. Meant to be. We're asking for our line, maybe a couple months. We usually do it in.
Well, there's both training conferences which are coming up middle of or in August.
Yeah.
There's one in September.
Whatever.
Trainings, their formal trainings were part of the conference, and then also Mark Vincent from SDAO has offered to do a private training. So come in and do the duties and responsibilities training for Special District Association of Oregon. And so that's definitely a possibility as well.
You can also go on the SDAO website under the training, and they have all kinds of recorded. All the seminars and the speakers and all kinds of categories that you can watch the seminars in the.
It's super helpful. I think my where I'm trying to get at is that obviously the community reached out that it needs to be updated, and so I'm asking that we update it. If we have links to those things, to those resources, I think that's incredibly important and helpful. But it shouldn't be on individuals of the board or even the commissioners to do it themselves. I think we should have official trainings.
I think what you'll see us going forward based on your commentary and what we saw from the public is we'll have someone take a look at rewriting our employee handbook. It looks like there's probably a lot of policies in there that could use a little updating. It's pretty outdated. That particular policy specifically. We will continue to do training on that. We can reach out to some of the other folks that offer trainings and see if maybe there are someone that could provide better training. As I mentioned to you, we've never had commissioners attend any of those trainings or asked to attend those trainings or required to attend those trainings, but we certainly would open those up to you as well. So, but I think you're happy to
What
join.
we have, just not recently.
Okay.
The next item that I wanted to mention, I believe it was last meeting, we talked about the transition to YouTube for these recordings. Is there any update there?
So we have not officially announced that we're doing that. I don't know that. We have not announced it. We have a YouTube video, our YouTube channel now. We have uploaded our first video. The link is available from the previous meeting. So everything has been done. It's there. But we haven't officially said, hey, you go out and see this now if you'd like.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So when are we gonna start attaching that link into our website with like the
Yeah.
agenda package?
It's been done.
It's already done.
We did it for the last meeting.
Okay, cool.
We just haven't announced it yet that we're doing it.
Gotcha.
This is your announcement.
You'll be able to find this meeting on YouTube.
And just 2 more, just small points. Going back to, I guess, the parking lot and understanding that we got a lot of grants for the parking lot. I believe we chatted about this just in passing, but would love to get more grants and get more people either port employees or people that were using this as a third party to get at least identify and fill out more grants. The money's out there. It's really for us to grab it.
Agreed.
And then the last one is, obviously, we have president, vice president, we've been waiting for filling out the full commission here. But I guess we need to figure out secretary and treasurer. And
You were allowed to hold both of those roles, but you don't have to. I'd like to relinquish one of them to nominate.
I'll hold on to it until the next meeting. I like that.
All right.
But I guess next meeting, we can kind of define
Perfect.
who should have that.
Then I'll also send them out what the responsibilities of it are.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, thank you. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Business action items. Approval to add and
On nine, was there any more?
which we've kind of already taken care of.
Just real quick on nine, was there anything else in the other commissioners had? We kind of moved to nine, I didn't, just making sure for,
Yeah.
if maybe anybody else had anything for, but.
I don't think so.
Great, good enough.
All right, got that taken care of. That was quick. Consideration of final resolution to protest.
No, business action.
So that's, but that will be done after the executive session, correct?
We need,
So we're gonna do 10A first, which would be the approval to add and remove bank signers to the Umpqua bank account. So we're going to repeat this. This is something that we did previously. My understanding was we'd all go up there, fill out paperwork and sign, everything would be great. So I went up there, started to fill out my paperwork and sign. She said, no, everybody's paperwork has to come at once. I can put it in the system, then individually we can all go up there and sign at our own convenience. So I'm back today and we have to have a new motion, which is great. We have 2 new signers. We're sort of repeating this process, but it actually worked out because we had 2 new signers, we had to do it again anyway. So the motion we'd be looking for is similar to what we had the last meeting, which would be approving new signers by name, and going through the list of names. And then removing signers and going through the list of names, which I can provide real quick.
We have that in this package.
Is it in there? I don't need to
For the
write
last agenda.
7. It has.
it.
Okay. I can,
Oh, you got it from the.
sure, of Jess, Joey, Dean, John, and Olga, and add all of us.
Correct.
Okay.
And to do it by name.
So we have to do it, we already did this the last meeting, we have to do a motion to remove them again.
We did.
A new motion.
Do this whole thing over again.
Okay,
The motion has to,
Stand alone.
the motion has to exactly match the activity that I'm going up to there to do, which is saying, all of these people are being added, all of these people are coming off, here's all their information. Very sticky.
well then I will make a motion to remove Jess Groves, Joey Caldwell, Dean Bump, John Stiffen, and Olga Kaganova as bank signers.
I'll second that.
In motion second to remove those Jess Groves, Joey Calder, Dean Bump, John Stibbett, and Olga Gonova as bank signers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, passing unanimous.
All right, then I am also making a motion to approve Carrie Clute, Albert Mance, and Brad Florang, and Rob Peterson, and Pam Tweet to be added as bank signers. Oh, and Jeremiah.
The Port General Manager.
Hmm?
The Port General
Jeremiah.
Manager.
Hmm?
The Port General Manager.
The Port General Manager, yes.
Okay, have a second?
I will second that as well.
Okay, awesome. The motion second to add Gary Clute, Albert Hance, the Port General Manager, as well as Rob Peterson and Pamela Tweed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously, okay. Let's take care of it. Perfect. Now we're gonna wait on B until potentially
I
after.
think what we would do is go into our executive session. We have plenty of reading for the new folks to do.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want to recess, and then we'll go to our meeting.
Okay, recess for about 5 minutes, and then we'll go into executive session under ORS 192.6602H as part of consideration. And also ORS 192.6602F and ORS, oh, we'll get already 2H, so legal counsel regarding litigation, likely litigation to be filed.
Great, let's turn on the air conditioner.
We go, one gets out of executive, then
Okay, I mean, I was executive session.
In our prior meeting, you directed me to continue the process of resolving AWI's protest to award the J-Line contract. I handed you a proposed order that addresses the protest and concludes the challenges in the protest that should be concludes for the challenges in the protest to be rejected. In brief summary, the court's procurement rule allows the court to directly negotiate concession agreements concerned with our operation agreements. The proposed order explains that in more detail and also addresses each of the arguments that AWI presented. The commission can approve this order and directly send it to AWI and other interested parties, or it can revise this order as it sees fit.
Somebody want to propose a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution of protest of special procurement and direct appointment presented by the general manager and allow him to send that order to interested parties. Any seconds?
I will second that.
Okay, there's been a motion, a second to go ahead and approve the protest motion.
Do we need to do a roll call? Discussions, yes.
Anybody want
I just want to say that, I think that it's important precedent that we stand by our current policies and procurement rules as they are. That's really what's driving my decision.
I'll agree with that. I think we need to stand by procurement rules. I will say this is difficult. I will say that my priorities, again, are for the community and for the port. And that is why I seconded the motion.
to? Okay.
Is there anybody else?
Yes, we will roll call vote. Anybody else want?
Public comment?
And you can, once we've done the roll call vote, then you can comment if you wish. Okay,
President Ryan?
no.
Vice President Clute,
Aye.
Commissioner Nets,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
No.
Commissioner Tweed.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I'll say I voted no, because as much as it meets our procurement policy, I believe that an RFP process would have been might have yielded more with a little bit of competition, might have yielded stronger results. That being said, I respect the decisions of the commission. Okay, if there's nothing else to come before the commission, we'll adjourn. Sure.
All right,
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody, who stayed on as well.